Down to the D. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Farzi Show, presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. It is absolutely wonderful to have you along for the ride. After the bye week, during the bye week, we talked about the wish list, okay? And one of the things on the wish list, actually the number one thing on the wish list was drama. I don't want drama after the bye week. There's been enough drama in the first, 8 weeks of the season, 9 weeks of the season. I don't need that anymore. And then what happens? A.J. Brown goes on a stream, talks about how the offense is a ish show. And I'll tell you this much. He ain't wrong, And then my man Derek Gunn on postgame with Seth Joyner and myself drops the bomb about how the Philadelphia Eagles organization, coaches, players are extremely frustrated with Jalen Hurts. Okay. I believe that Jalen Hurts is extremely frustrated with the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll get into all that today. And basically the feeling that was communicated to Derek Gunn from his sources with the Eagles was that this is a very similar situation, although far from identical, to Carson Wentz. Now, there was also an article 2 years ago now by Joe Santoliquito, and I'm not referencing his article about Carson Wentz that was, oh, man, that lit a fire in the Philadelphia community, Philadelphia Eagles fan base about what a extreme alpha male Carson Wentz was. And other stories came out supporting it, as a matter of fact, and people still didn't want to believe it. And then I think it was, a year later, Carson Wentz was playing for the Indianapolis Colts. I do not at all see Jalen Hurts as Carson Wentz. And even when people were comparing Hurts' early success to Carson Wentz, in terms of his second year as a starter, really starting to really take off with the Eagles and all that stuff, I know you got to watch out. Another Carson Wentz, that type of thing. I never saw that. And one of the reasons when the Eagles signed Jalen Hurts to a $250 million deal with like 170 of it guaranteed, I did not bat an eye at it because I thought the guy signing this deal was a lot better physically and mentally than the quarterback that signed the previous big mega kajunga guaranteed money deal in Carson Wentz. And I did think that Jeffrey Lurie put it perfect when it came to Jalen Hurts. The constant pursuit of perfection. That's what Jeffrey Lurie said about Jalen Hurts leading up to his new contract with the Philadelphia Eagles, in which he's now under. Jalen Hurts is one of the strongest athletes mentally I have ever seen. All the doubt, all the hate, this guy just keeps on going. And I've told you guys many times about one of the reasons I really felt that about Jalen Hurts, and that this was not going to be a repeat performance no matter really what happened in his career to Carson Wentz when you were really questioning the guy's mental toughness. Jalen Hurts, when he was set to take over, and all the reports were out there about the Eagles trying to get Aaron Rodgers and the Eagles trying to get Russell Wilson, and that was apparently a lot closer than a lot of people thought, like literally giving Russell Wilson an offer, and trying to get Deshaun Watson. Through all that conversation, through all those storylines, Jalen Hurts remained the same in saying, I can only control what I can control. I can control what goes on out there, pointing to the field during training camp at the NovaCare complex. And what did he do? He went out and he had a damn near MVP season. That's what he did. So what I would watch him throughout that season, no matter what happened throughout that season, this guy just kept on fighting. And there was nothing the outside influences could impact on his game. And that's ultimately what matters most. Now, since then, you've seen him be a runner-up in the MVP. You have, let's see, you've seen him go 55 and 23, 22 as a starting quarterback. That doesn't even include the games that he started and finished. That's just games that he started. So like the Washington game last year where Kenny Pickett had to come in and they ended up losing on that Devontae Smith drop. That still goes against Jalen Hurts because he started that game. I've watched him go 55 and 23 as a starter, whatever it's been. Seen him play in 2 Super Bowls. Seen him win a Super Bowl. Seen him win Super Bowl MVP. Provide a parade. Big part of providing a parade to the city of Philadelphia. I don't want to get rid of that guy. And if the Philadelphia Eagles are having frustrations with Jalen Hurts, their quarterback, well, then I think they need to look in the mirror. Just as Jalen Hurts needs to look in the mirror on a lot of these instances as well. I'm not saying Jalen's perfect by any means, but I'm saying it would be pretty dumb to get rid of a guy who just won you a Super Bowl and was just also the Super Bowl MVP. And I'm a very tough grader when it comes to quarterbacks, and I take a lot of BS from people. Like after the Giants game, I was critical of a couple of throws at Jalen Hurts. I hate Jalen Hurts. Literally in the game before, I'm talking about how great he is, how impressed I was, and I was singing his praises, and quite frankly, offended by people's opinions when it came to, Jalen Hurts was great in the second half of the Rams game. I told you he could do this. I was like, really? A second half of a regular season game? That's what showed you that Jalen Hurts could throw the football? It wasn't, the Super Bowl against the Steve Spagnuolo defense that you needed a regular season game against the Rams at home to go, I told you Jalen could throw. Everyone should know Jalen. This should not be breaking news. And I've told you guys before, I consider Jalen Hurts to be an elite quarterback. I'm not getting rid of an elite quarterback. I'm not getting rid of a Super Bowl MVP quarterback. I'm not getting rid of a quarterback that finished second in the MVP voting. And I'm not getting rid of a quarterback that has been to 2 Super Bowls already. I ain't getting rid of that guy. So, Eagles, if you're frustrated, deal with it. Because I'm sure Jalen's frustrated as well. Now, when I go back and I watch the film on these games, there's a lot of instances where, yes, as I talked about in the Packers game, as I've talked about with this game, you see guys open. Jahan Dotson on what looked like a coverage sack on the TV broadcast. They later go back to it and show Sky Cam, and you see Jahan Dotson wide open downfield, and it looks like Jalen Hurts looking at him, but he didn't pull the trigger on the move. For whatever reason, I don't know. He ends up, I think on that play, he ended up taking a 2-yard gain. It wasn't even a sack, but anyway, he had a better play to be made. Now, there's other plays where guys are wide open, but for whatever reason, it looks like that guy has the third progression, and Jalen's already moved off his spot where he has to cut the field in half just trying to keep the play alive. There was another play that came up with Saquon Barkley down the sideline where Jalen Hurts just dropped it in the breadbasket, but unfortunately, it was a play that was a broken play. Jalen was flushed out of the pocket, looks downfield, sees Saquon Barkley one-on-one, drops it over the breadbasket, and unfortunately, Saquon couldn't come down in bounds with it. He was out of bounds, ruled incomplete. But still, great play by Jalen Hurts to improvise on a play like that. But unfortunately, he's got to cut the field in half because he's moved off his spot. Aiden Hutchinson was actually winning a battle on that particular play. This one was against Lane Johnson. But there are plays that develop, or there are open receivers that develop that either Jalen's already moved off his mark and he can't make the play, or for whatever reason, when they set the progression, they don't have a guy like A.J. Brown early in the progression. So if the Eagles are frustrated with Jalen, I could see where he wants to do things a certain way. He is an alpha male, okay? I'm sure he could be tough to deal with at times, but more often than not, you want that guy that is a little headstrong out there on the football field trying to win you football games. Also, the resume speaks for itself. And then the other part of it is, how many play callers again for Jalen Hurts? In the last, 11? In like the last 8 years? Oh, good God. And now he's dealing with Kevin Patullo, who's never done this before, by the way. So this isn't all one way. I'm sure there's a lot of frustrations at the NovaCare complex. Not all from the organization to Jalen Hurts, but I'm sure Jalen Hurts to the organization. And then you also want to deal with an offensive line that has been banged up throughout the year. Now, when I grade any quarterback, I always try to keep in mind the offensive line that's in front of them. You absolutely have to do that. Jalen Hurts, going into last week, was the 4th leading quarterback when it came to time to throw. Now, the other thing that does incorporate is scrambling time. So if he does get flushed out of the pocket and he's got to buy time, like we've seen him do so many times, that also counts. So the average is supposed to be about like 3.3, which is a lot of time to throw the football. But when you have Lane Johnson in and out with injury, you have Landon Dickerson coming back from injury, Cam Jurgens in and out with injury, a mix of Brett Toth there at left guard and center, Jordan Mailata, although kudos to him, for the most part, had a great game against the Lions. One or two plays you could really nitpick at, or he was just in the wrong spot. But for the most part, has not had near the year that you saw him have a year ago. And I heard Collinsworth refer to this on the Sunday Night Football broadcast. The number one football player in all the NFL. But the offensive line has been in flux. The run game has been non-existent. And Kevin Patullo, again, has never done this before. So, yeah, let me go ahead and just only be frustrated with Jalen Hurts. Does that make any sense? Oh, and one more thing. There's just one more thing. AJ quit on another route. The 3rd and 15 deep ball to AJ Brown. Now, maybe you were like AJ on this play. Maybe you thought 3rd and 15, they ain't getting this. Well, the Eagles have gotten those before. Why wouldn't you believe it? And if you're AJ Brown and you want everything to be just perfect and hunky-dory and you want the offense to get going, you think you'd try on every route. You think maybe you even think in the Broncos game, AJ Brown learned his lesson. Maybe you think in the Broncos game, AJ Brown learned his lesson where, I'm not going to quit. This offense needs every opportunity. I'm not going to be a guy that takes away an opportunity. So on the 3rd and 15, Jalen Hurts reels back, fires down the left sideline. And as I'm watching this game live, I can hear the murmurs in the crowd, and I hear Chris Collinsworth basically allude to, you can't do that. Something along the lines of, you can't do that. So I'm expecting, because shortly after they punt, they go to break, and I'm expecting to see a sky cam of A.J. Brown quitting on the route. They never show it. So yesterday, the film came out, and A.J. Brown absolutely quit on that route. You see him get off the line of scrimmage. Then you see him slow down for a good 5 to 8 yards. You see him look up, locate the ball, and then he tries a couple of steps with a scurry and can't catch up to the football. After the game, he was asked about the play, and here's what A.J. Brown had to say about it.
A.J., there was a deep shot late from Jalen to you down the, I think it was down the sideline. What happened on that play?
Constant hand fighting down the field, and just missed, Not just saying he missed, but like we just missed.
How much does the weather...
I couldn't get to it.
Sorry.
You know why there was hand fighting? Because he slowed down. Watching both angles, high end zone, and then watching the all 22, he slowed down. He allowed the DB to catch up. There wouldn't be that much hand fighting if you blew by him. And like a lot of times, like I could not give a guy a pass. I don't believe in passes, but I could understand. It's a little easier to understand. A guy makes a mistake, but he made the mistake earlier in the season against the Broncos. Then he just won't shut up about all the Eagles' offensive problems, which, by the way, I get. I said at the top of the show, it's it's not exactly a well-oiled machine, this Eagles offense, unfortunately, this season. And AJ has highlighted that. So you would think that understanding that things haven't gone the Eagles' way, offensively speaking, for the majority of the season, that you would want to capitalize on every opportunity you have. On first glance, you might say, well, that ball was out of the reach of A.J. Brown. He wasn't going to get it. Well, if he didn't go into a brisk walk for about 8 yards, he's catching that ball that dropped about 6 yards in front of him. It's at the very least a 50-50 ball if he gets to his spot, but he did not. So if you want to talk about all the frustrations about Jalen Hurts, and I've said it many times, I've pointed out his mistakes. Jalen Hurts is not perfect. He has had problems like a lot of other guys on this team have had problems from Kevin Patullo to the offensive line, to A.J. Brown quitting on routes. Oh, yeah, to drops as well. I mean, you want to talk about Jalen Hurts. What? Devontae Smith drops a ball. Dallas Goedert drops a ball. This is like the first possession, by the way. He actually looks for, what's his name, Kyron Granson, down the sideline. He drops a ball. Puts the ball, again, in the breadbasket of Saquon Barkley. He can't come down in bounds. Like, it ain't all Jalen here. I've said it a lot. You got an offensive line problem, you got an everything problem. You can't run the football with this team. That's quite a big difference, by the way. Quite a big difference. Going from last year, we could do anything you wanted when you ran the football, to this year where you can't do anything. So now it's even more so on the shoulders of Jalen Hurts. I can understand why that might be a little bit of a transition for him. Eagles have a lot of problems. Jalen Hurts ain't their biggest problem. If the wide receivers were running great routes all the time and coming up with big plays, if your offensive line was pancaking people and paving a lane for Saquon Barkley to have anything close to a year that he had last year, I'll even take like 70% of it, you know? If Kevin Patullo appeared to know what the hell he was doing, then I'd be like, man, this quarterback's really messing this up. But what this seems to me, now, here's the deal. I want to say this about Derek Gunn, a guy I've known for a very long time. I've known people in the media that will just ball something up, throw it against the wall, see if it sticks, okay? I will say those people have not been on my show, okay? There's a reason for that. I don't do the BS, okay? Derek Gunn has been on my show many times. I've worked with Derek Gunn for the better part of the last decade, and I've known him for a decade plus. He's not one of those people that just goes, yeah, sure, I'll just see if this sticks. So for the people that are like offended or all up in arms over this is, don't be mad at Derek. Be mad at the people that have the emotions that Derek reported. If the Eagles are frustrated, I can understand why the offense struggling the way it has this year would be frustrating. But if the Eagles are frustrated to the point of trying to come up with a way to get rid of Jalen Hurts, then Jeffrey Lurie should sell the team. Like, that is the dumbest impulse you could have. He's taking you to 2 Super Bowls. And what is he, 27 years old? He's taking you to his 2 Super Bowls. He's won you a Super Bowl. He's the only, in the history of the franchise, he is the only returning Super Bowl champion franchise quarterback. Like, Nick Foles wasn't a franchise quarterback, all right? I know he had his successful runs here and certainly the Super Bowl, but it wasn't like everyone was going, sign Nick Foles to a 10-year deal. He's great. I mean, it was suggested that if Nick Foles in the year following the Super Bowl, if Alshon Jeffrey doesn't drop that ball in New Orleans, everyone, and myself included, everyone and their mother was thinking they're going back to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, it wasn't in the cards. But even in that moment, people were, oh, if he wins another Super Bowl, then he's the starting quarterback. Like, Carson Wentz has got to take a back seat. And, everyone was like, oh, no, Carson Wentz is still a franchise quarterback. Like, people defending Carson Wentz. Oh, what a time. I mean, good Lord. I remember not coddling Carson Wentz like a lot of other people were. And people, how dare you criticize him missing a throw in the end zone? I'm like, you want to say that again for yourself? Slower? Missing throws in the end zone? Like easy throws, time to throw, missing it? Yeah, no, I'm going to go ahead and say that he's got to make that throw. I understand quarterbacks are going to miss throws, but in the end zone when the offense has been struggling, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call him out for it. If the Eagles are thinking they need to get rid of if the Eagles are thinking they need to get rid of Jalen Hurts, then please, Jeffrey Lurie, just right now, just sell the team. Just get rid. You shouldn't be an owner anymore. Like, if that's in the organization right now, whoever thinks that, and I shouldn't even blame Jeffrey Lurie. He's the guy that owns the team. He's the big boss, right? Go down to the NovaCare complex, Jeffrey, and just start slapping people in the face and say, wake up. Look, Jalen has not been perfect this year. To hell with, I don't give it the perfect game rating. That's for Madden. I don't subscribe to that. All right, it doesn't matter. But when a guy has played his ass off and gone through all the criticism you can possibly go through, and in the midst has won you 2 NFC championships, has won you a Super Bowl, people might be frustrated with his play, but I don't hear him calling anybody out in the media. Unlike some other people, he's keeping things in-house. So if you're frustrated with Jalen Hurts, find a way to smooth that over as fast as possible, because I don't want any bitterness bleeding into this. The Eagles have something great right now. This is what every Eagles fan has waited for a very long time. This moment in time right now with the Eagles. Not enough people realize that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's just my personality. I do like taking a minute and just kind of looking around and going, "Wow, this is amazing." Like in life in general, like I do that a lot. Like I do with my kids. Like just freeze this moment for a second in time and just appreciate the moment, even when you're frustrated and all that stuff. And I stepped last night. I stepped in a roll of Nutella. Yeah, like a tortilla with Nutella spread over it. That's what my kids had for dessert last night. And apparently one of them had, I'm not going to say who, Leo. He had a bite and just put it on the ground. And then I'm walking around the house. I step in it. And I'm like, what did I step in? And literally I look down. There's a tortilla on the bottom of my shoe. I was glad I was wearing slippers, technically. I appreciate moments like that. Okay, this sucks. Now I made footprints of Nutella all over the floor. This sucks, but I love it. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Well, I look at this Eagles era, and I think about the Eagles era I grew up in. I think about the Eagles era my father grew up in. I think about the Eagles era that a lot of your grandfathers grew up in. And other than back-to-back championships in 48 and 49, going to 3 straight championships, winning a championship in 1960, that 12-year, 13-year span, that was pretty damn good, but that was pre-Super Bowl. This is the moment. This is the era we have been waiting for. We thought that was with Carson Wentz. That turned out to be fool's gold. This is the era right here. And Jalen Hurts is still the quarterback we've waited a very, very long time for. And I know this is a foreign concept to us as Philadelphia Eagles fans. I know it's even a foreign concept to the Eagles to have a Super Bowl champion franchise quarterback. And this is what we're doing with it? When there are so many other problems. If this was game after game of Jalen just missing throws downfield, not coming up with a big play. Like if Jalen's not coming up with that, 3rd and 13 against the Packers to Devontae Smith. If Jalen's not coming up with that second half against the Rams where he was just able to air that football out. If Jalen's not coming up with a game like he did against the Vikings where he did put up that perfect passer rating for those that subscribe to it. Throw for what? 4 touchdowns? What do we do? Like, it's not like he's been asked this year. Like, what are we doing here? All that while the running game has struggled, the offensive line has struggled in the run game. Your supposed best wide receiver has quit on routes, including this game against the Lions. Your guys are dropping balls as well. But yeah, Jalen has missed guys that have been open. That has happened. A lot of those instances, unfortunately, yeah, he has been moved off the line, or he's been moved off his spot at the top of his drop back because he hasn't been given time to throw. But when he does have time to throw, one criticism I will absolutely have of Jalen Hurts, and it actually goes to a benefit because it's obviously worked. Jalen's biggest thing every single game is to win the game. That's the biggest thing, all right? And more often than not, that works pretty well. Like to the tune of, what were they before the Broncos game? 17-0 in Jalen's last starts, completed starts, I'll call them. Games he started and finished. 17-0, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. With Jalen, a big part of that is not turning the football over. And this is where a criticism could come in. There was also a play against the Lions where Jalen actually did get sacked. He's drifting back. And I think it was Granson, the tight end, drifting out into the flat. And Jalen, who's got incredible athletic ability, has the ability to extend that play a little bit longer, bolt out of the pocket, and dump it out to Granson. And if not, fire it over his head out of bounds. And he didn't do that. He took the sack. Now, why did he do that? Well, because if he reels back to throw, he could very well fumble that football. It could be tipped. It could be intercepted. But if he just takes, albeit an 11-yard sack, they still have an opportunity. I think that was on I think that was on second down. So they still have an ability to take a shot, get a couple more yards, punt the football, but they also come up with an opportunity there to not turn the football over with great field position for the Lions. So, look, it was a criticism I had of Donovan of not throwing in the tight windows and not wanting to take risks with the football. And Donovan was always great at not turning the football over. He was always great at not throwing the interceptions. But there comes a time where you're like, all right, take that shot. Take that. It's there. You can make the throw. And he wouldn't do it. Jalen's very similar in that regard, which is a comparison I know a lot of people don't want to hear, but it's true. He just doesn't want to turn that football over. And I do believe when he was going through that awful run of like 24 turnovers in 24 games that bled into the first couple of weeks of last year going into the bye week, first 4 games of last year, I think one of the major things was, along with feeding Saquon more, along with Vic Fangio's defense just getting better at tackling overall, one of the biggest things to come out of it, if not the biggest thing, was Jalen just didn't turn the football over anymore. He was very protective of the football, didn't take risks. I remember the game against the Rams in the playoffs. He took a sack simply because he didn't want to reel back and throw the football. Or excuse me, he took a safety simply because he didn't want to reel back and possibly give them a touchdown. I'd rather give them 2 points and the ball than give them a touchdown in this situation. So, look, I'll tell you this. I am not afraid to criticize Jalen Hurts. Again, the Giants game that they lost, everyone was jumping up because he threw one interception that I highlighted. Oh, he throws one interception. All of a sudden he's like, no, it was a really dumb play. Like, the fact that it was an interception was the least dumb thing that happened on that play. And I criticized him for a 23-yard gain to Dallas Goedert when he had Jahan Dotson over the top for what would have been a touchdown. Like, meat on the bone. Meat on the bone. Yeah, some of the stats look really good. But if you're telling me that he's got, 16 touchdowns and 1 interception, oh, that's a big brag. All right, well, what about the other plays that he could have had like 20, 22 touchdown passes on the season, but he passed it up for still a 20-yard gain. That still looks good, but looks better at the touchdown. The overall point I'm making here is that Jalen Hurts is not your only problem here, Philadelphia, and he's a small problem, as a matter of fact. You got bigger problems than Jalen. And maybe Jalen, it's frustrating to work with him, maybe because he's better than you. Maybe he knows more than Nick Sirianni. Maybe he knows more than Kevin Patullo. Hey, I criticized Jalen for the 4th and 6. That's one thing I will agree with Nick Sirianni on. Although I don't agree with him going for it, I at least agree with the idea of the slant route. I went back and I watched the play again after Nick Sirianni's press conference last week. The slant route was there to Devontae Smith. A curl route was there for Dallas Goedert. And you know what apparently wasn't there? The go ball to A.J. Brown. Even though it was one-on-one coverage, A.J. just zero effort on that one as well. But Jalen wanted to get his guy the ball and try to make everything right in the world, and that was a mistake by Jalen. And that's why you saw on the sidelines in that Packers game, Nick Sirianni walking outside. Why? Which, by the way, I've never seen before. Not in Philadelphia, at least. Like, I never saw Andy do that. I never saw Doug Peterson do that. Maybe Chip Kelly when he didn't do something that he specifically asked you to do. But I can't say I remember doing that. Plus, he would have the S8 little thing in front of his face anyway. Probably the why, like that, Yeah, it's more than frustrating right now with this Philadelphia Eagles team, unfortunately. More than frustrating. And not just with Jalen Hurts. With everybody not named Vic Fangio and everybody not on the Eagles defense. One thing before I go over to talk more about the Eagles defense. Nick Sirianni was asked about Jalen Hurts, not about the report about people being frustrated, but just overall what's impressed about Jalen Hurts and this 8-2 Eagles start.
Through this little winning streak that we have going on right now, he's just, continues to find ways to put us in positions to succeed. And, but we know as an offense, we want to continue to get better. We have a long way to go, and there's a lot of opportunities for us to get better. That's what today was about. But yeah, I love Jalen's ability to find ways to help us win, and I think that's what you see from our team is we find ways to win, and then we go back to work and try to find ways to get better.
There we go. Said something nice about his quarterback. Isn't that sweet? So I would really love for now. Let's get to this as well, because Jordan Mailata was on WIP yesterday, and he was asked about, the report from Derek Gunn. And one thing I do like is that other media members, not just myself, other media members are pointing out that, like, this isn't a guy in Derek Gunn that just throws something against the wall to see what sticks. This isn't somebody that's just going to, hey, I'm bored, let's stir the pot. That's not Derek Gunn. So Jordan Mailata even said, I haven't seen it, but he's not going to, if that's what people are telling him, then that's a problem. So because Derek Gunn is not just making something up, why are members of the Eagles organization putting this out there? There's the obvious. Don't blame us. Don't blame Nick Sirianni or Kevin Patullo. Don't blame us. It's Jalen that is the reason that this offense is struggling. Everyone's frustrated with Jalen, but he knows he has the organization over a barrel. The other is, and I hope this would be the reason, is that they've tried to change things in the offense, and Jalen hasn't been willing to do it, or Jalen hasn't been able to execute it. And this is their final attempt to try to get through to him. If we've said it in-house to him, and other guys have said it to him, teammates have said it to him, maybe public humiliation, maybe that'll motivate him. All right, what do you want to do? Let's try it. Maybe that's it. But I go back, you watch these games, and you see the way that they started out with like 3 drops in the first 2 possessions, and I'm supposed to be pissed at Jalen out of the gate? I don't think so. So, look, the Eagles have a lot of problems, and Jalen hasn't been perfect this year. And don't give me the perfect rating BS. But if you watch these games and you go back especially and watch the film, you realize that there's meat left on the bone from Jalen Hurts. And if he hits those passes, if he finds those plays, you're talking about an offense that's not averaging like 23 points a game. You're talking about an offense that's averaging 30 points a game, that kind of thing. Now, one of the best things to watch this year, away from the offense, has been what this defense has done. And I'll say this again, Jalen Phillips, I did not expect to be a flat-out game wrecker. I told you when they acquired him, Moro Ajomo, Jalen Carter, already being on the interior of this Eagles defensive line, give them an edge rusher that can get after the run and get after the quarterback, and some great things will happen. I did not expect those great things to be dominant things. I expected some plays here and there. I didn't expect the Eagles defensive line, including the edge rusher position, to all of a sudden be a don't stop, won't stop, high motor that it has become. This has made Jalix Hunt a better edge rusher. This, I think, when Nolan Smith gets his legs back under him, fully into game shape and all that, this will make Nolan Smith a better edge rusher. This will make Jahad Campbell a better linebacker and edge rusher. And the other is Nakobe Dean's play since rejoining this defense has been off the charts. He has been everywhere. And I was thinking about it, like, what's a good comparison now? Zach Bond quietly is still having another great year. But he's, I guess, because he didn't break, he already broke out onto the scene. You're not going to do that twice. Like, he's still been making plays for this Eagles defense, of course. But Nakobe Dean, especially in this Lions game, reminded me a lot of Zach Bond last year, which was one play, he's in the backfield getting a sack. The other, he's 30 yards downfield breaking up a play. The other, he's stepping up to the line of scrimmage to help in a run stuff or limit a run to like 2 yards. Like, Nakobe Dean's instincts and health are right now all together. And his rookie season, I told you that was going to be the case with him. If he can match up health and his instincts and stay out there for long enough, like you saw a little glimpse of it last year, but again, he was just getting his legs back under him. This year, he is shot out of a cannon off IR and onto that football field. I was listening to some national talk. Who was it yesterday? I think it was Michael Wilbon. I was catching some of PTI, and it was like, this is the best defense in the NFL. This is the best defense in the NFL. Jason Garrett called the Eagles in postgame after Sunday Night Football the best team in the NFL. And by the way, the Cowboys did beat the Raiders last night in Monday Night Football. Dak Prescott was slinging it a wee bit. But last night, George Pickens was a man possessed as well. But this Eagles team is where they're at because of their defense. They're playing phenomenal football. But here's what some people really conveniently forgot. The first Super Bowl the Eagles won, they had one of the top defenses in the NFL. Jim Schwartz and his defensive unit were having a phenomenal season. Now, that all got shot to hell because they went to the Super Bowl and only played, like the greatest quarterback ever and took it on the chin. But just like they did that entire season, when you needed them to make a play, they made a play. Strip sack, obviously, of Tom Brady from Brandon Graham, as we all know too well. This defense could be great for the rest of this season and most likely will. But there is going to come a time where the Eagles, just like they did against the Rams this year, they're going to have to win a game on Jalen Hurts' arm and this offense's production. But one of the great things that we can enjoy is you have a stout defense. I don't care who you play. You go up and you play the Cowboys, and if you're the Cowboys, I'm sure you're looking at that game against the Raiders as a get-right game. You could go and you could face a team like the Bears, like they're going to do on Black Friday, a team that has certainly found ways to win. You could face a team like the Bills, for instance, a team that has been, just running it up. And you can have the feeling of, well, you haven't played us. And that was my feeling about the Eagles last year. As great as some of these teams were, you haven't played us. Matthew Stafford putting it together with his receiving core going into that Eagles game last year. Oh, they're trending in the right direction. Oh, Puka Nakua's numbers are insane. And it's like, you know what? You haven't played us. Like, that's the Eagles mentality. And I'm not going to let that get distracted or watered down with, any drama, whether it's from A.J. Brown, it's what the Eagles want to leak to Derek Gunn about their own frustrations. No. Just go out there and ball out. Go out there and do your job. And one of the things that really makes me feel great about this is, aside from the talent of Jalen Phillips and what he brings to this defense and how he really elevates everybody else's game, aside from just that, which is the most important thing, for anyone that's thinking this team might go stale, for this team that, might be taking things for granted or whatever, Jalen Phillips is a shot in the arm in the locker room as well. Like, for any drama that might be surrounding this team, Jalen Phillips is a guy that appears to me to be the type of guy that just come in here and be like, do you guys realize how good you have it? Do you guys realize how awesome this is? It's like, I was in Miami. And I know in every other context, that sounds great. I was in Miami. Oh, great. That sounds fun. No, I was playing for the Dolphins. Oh, like that's not good. But he's coming here to Philadelphia. And already you're talking about a game where he helped the defense hold a team to 10 points. He talked about he's on a defense that held a team to 9 points. And these were both games where the opponent was supposed to really get up to play you. The Lions are really supposed to get up to play the Eagles. The Packers are really supposed to get up to play the Eagles. And the Eagles won both those games, mostly thanks to their defense being great. So I look at Jalen Phillips, I say, obviously the talent is what matters most. But when you have something extra, a guy that really appreciates where he is right now and wants to make the most of his opportunity, not just to win now, but also for a big old fat contract at the end of this season, I think Jalen Phillips can have a great impact here. A great impact. Boop. Hey, your Philadelphia 76ers won a basketball game last night. And it was a odd game. Paul George made his season debut, 9.7 rebounds in 21 minutes played. About what I would, of course, you want to see like a 15, 20-point game from Paul George, but I really wasn't expecting it. The fact that he got the rebounds is still huge, and that was often something that went under the radar last year with Paul George. But watching him last night, he looked like absolutely a guy that was getting his legs back under him, but I thought he looked good. He looked a little bit better than I thought he would. The other part of it yesterday was that the Clippers were constantly going up 10 points. Like, I felt like the Sixers would get these jabs in, jab, cut the lead to 5. Then haymaker from the Clippers. James Harden hits a 3, whatever. And all of a sudden they're back up 10 points before you blink. or you blink and they're up 10 points. Constantly it was happening throughout the game. And here was a good sign. The Clippers were going on a back-to-back. So I knew at some point the Sixers, who were not off the back-to-back, their legs were going to kick in. So as the game went on, I was feeling better if the Sixers could keep it close, that they would have a big closeout finish. They ended up not wetting the bed in the third quarter. Yay! Their third quarter point differential is actually down to 7.5. It was at 9.5, negative 9.5. Last week. Now it's down to 7.5, minus 7.5. All right. Well, yesterday I think they were 23-23. It was a tie game in the third quarter. 23-23. Third quarter, they matched the score. It wasn't a tie game overall. But in terms of third quarter scoring, it's a tie game. And then the Sixers took the third quarter, 37-25. They won the game 110-108. Tyrese Maxey scored 14 of his 39 points in that fourth quarter. Quentin Grimes, who had already been D'ing up James Harden pretty well throughout the night, really locked in that fourth quarter. And Quentin Grimes scored 9 of his 19 points in that fourth quarter. Yeah, Quentin Grimes probably got away with a foul on James Harden on his first three-point attempt on the final possession. Harden had 2 in that final possession, missed them both. Quentin Grimes was all over him for both. But Sixers really showed me something last night. They didn't quit. And Tyrese Maxey, I've referenced this a bunch, and I'm going to continue to do it throughout the season. But Maxey on Media Day talking about that brand of basketball you can expect from the Sixers. Well, he reiterated that with his play in the fourth quarter. And there was one point where he had about 21 points on 21 shots. That ain't good. He finished up with 39 points on 27 shots, including 9 for 10 from the free throw line. VJ Edgecombe got a little pep talk there from Nick Nurse as well, which was good to see. Maybe respond to some hard coaching. Hey, get more involved kind of thing. But Tyrese Maxey then after the game reiterated what he said on Media Day and actually shouted out his own quote, saying, I've told you guys from the start, this is what we're going to do. Every single night, we're going to be there at the end. We're going to give you hard, gritty basketball. Well, that's what you got last night. And they won the game. They won Paul George's debut. Also, hey, Andre Drummond, good hustle, fella. He was all over the place last night, despite the opposing announcers, not the Sixers announcer, not Kate Nalla, but the Clippers announcer apparently making fun of Andre Drummond's hair. I believe the quote was, Andre Drummond's hair looks like a cartoon when you open up a gift and it explodes. It did my man dirty, man. Especially when Andre Drummond came up with another double-double with 18 rebounds, people. 18 rebounds. Get off my man's back. Thank you very much. So how about that? Hey, your Philadelphia Flyers, by the way, they are back at it. I think they're back on the ice. Oh, they're off till tomorrow night against the Blues. They got blown out, by the way. The Stars in Dallas, 5-1. They're back at it against the Blues. Thursday, I believe it is. Is it Thursday? It's Thursday. Yeah. So they got a 6-5 win over the Blues last time. So let's do that again. Except don't allow them to 5. Let me tell you about the great people at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. April. Hello, April. And now that we're in the chat check, Sean Gillespie. Hello. Sean Kilrain. Hello. Sean Kilrain. Eagles are 15-23 without Lane Johnson. Yeah, that's not good. They are 110-57-1 with him. It's insane, that stat. Insane sacks this season. Myles Garrett, 15. Ravens, 15. Jaguars, 15. Bengals, 14. 49ers, 12. That's wild. Natalie, protect Jalen at all costs. I agree. Sean Gillespie, only people that truly don't pay attention will blame Hurts for this lethargic offense. I agree. Jerry Von Skyver, what's up, man? How's the pup? Good morning. I think it's time to bring someone inside like Brian Dable. I would love to see it. It's pretty criminal to hire with no experience calling plays with a talented roster like this. Yeah, I agree. This isn't some like rebuild project here where you buy low and hope to sell high. You're winning now. You're winning now. Jason A, hello. Really, you don't want Dable anywhere near the Eagles? I still think he could be a hell of an offensive coordinator. I mean, he had talent in Buffalo. They did pretty well. Not in the postseason, obviously, but they still did pretty well. Dable, need Dable now, says Jeremy Von Skyver. 2023 could happen again. Gross. Patullo has proven he is done. Sean Gillespie, I still love how much this is stuck with you. If you missed it before the season, one of the things I said about Patullo was just like, hey, what if he's dumb? Some guys are meant to be coordinators, right? The Peter principle. You'll rise to the point of your competence eventually. Eagles offered a consultant role with Frank Reich once he was done in December with the college team he's on. Okay, well, I wouldn't mind Frank Reich being. I wouldn't mind another experienced offensive mind here. And honestly, I wouldn't mind looking at the sideline and seeing Frank Reich as your offensive coordinator. AJ slowing up on that deep ball. Everyone was pissed off. Jason A., I agree. But here's the thing. Jalen's not calling him out in the media? That's amazing. You know what's really amazing to me? And this dawned on me listening to Saquon last week. Saquon, I don't even know what he's on pace for. Let me see if I can just get that for you guys real quick. So Saquon has 602 yards on the ground this season. Saquon is still projected for a 1,100-yard season. That's amazing. He's projected for just over 1,100 yards. Do you hear him bitching and moaning? Or do you hear him saying, we've had our struggles, but, we're going to get it right. Every single week, it's the same thing. We're going to get it right. Like that. We're going to get it right. And if it's not going to be me, it's going to be AJ. If it's not going to be AJ, it's going to be Devontae. Jalen can do it. And then he starts singing the praises of Tank Bigsby after the Giants game. I say all the time, you're not like Jalen Hurts, but he's a quarterback, so I can understand why anyone would like their quarterback. Like, you can nitpick every quarterback in the NFL, be like, can't believe you missed that throw, But I know this. I don't know how you could not like Saquon Barkley. Model citizen. Meanwhile, AJ, everything's a problem. AJ is also not the same AJ. Too many hamstrings issues, soft tissue injuries. True. Natalie, AJ did all that just to quit on a route, right? Jason A., AJ's clearly part of the problem. Yeah. Pin 9617. Hello. Deontay Lewis, AJ did all that yapping about coverage being rolled to him and doesn't take advantage of a one-on-one. I know. Quite frustrating. Jeremy Von Skyver, all the money is spent on their offense right now, and they have been underachieving, where a bunch of young guys on defense would like to lock them up. Yeah, that's the thing. They're not spending a lot of money defensively because they're soon going to have to spend a lot of money defensively. Granson dropped the back shoulder and Granson dropped it. Yeah. Tank Bigsby can. There you go. You can run the football with Tank. You absolutely can. He's been doing well. Running the ball matters. So tired of people acting like the football is any different than it ever has been. True. Just like Smitty should get 10 targets a game. Wouldn't mind it. It's the new fans that don't understand the hardships. That's great. Natalie's calling for a purge. I'd find that funny. April, I think about that all the time. My grandpa was a huge Eagles fan. He would love this team. Right, April? Appreciation. Whether you're stepping on a Nutella roll or you're trying to enjoy an Eagles season and a franchise Super Bowl winning quarterback. Same rumor came out in the preseason last year. That was another Joe Santoliquito article, by the way. Colombian Dreams. Right, the Reed era was fun, but he didn't win the big one. Very true. Philly M. Or Philly M. The fans not happy because we know it often not even playing 50% of the level. What's happening? Be more careful. What's going on? Still love your name. The only thing fans should care about is if the team wins. You're Eagles fans, not players fans. True. Buddy Ryan would love this defense, says April. I agree. Stratus. Philly fans are getting spoiled. Hearns went 9 for 23 passing with 326 yards and 3 touchdowns in the air while recording a perfect passer rating just a few weeks ago. True. Oh, I didn't see the flop last night, April. I'll have to go back and look at that. Hire anyone named Ja or Jalen. Oh, Arthur. Imagine Jalen Hurts with a guy like Kyle Shanahan or Sean Payton or Sean McVay from the Rams, right? Right? Mr. Sandman. Sixers were celebrating like beating the Clippers on the second game of a back-to-back of the finals was not that impressive. Yeah, I get it. It's not that impressive, and I had the same thought. Like, they're playing on a back-to-back. You should have run this team a little bit better than, waiting to the last second to take a lead again. But this Sixers team is still a team that's learning how to win. Still a team that's learning how to win. So when they win, I am happy for them. Get a real offensive coordinator. I know, right? Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as per usual. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Farzy Show. My name is Mark Farzetta. I'll be back with you guys later today, 9:30. We're doing an earlier edition of Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey and I, so don't miss that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys tomorrow.